What's up, guys? It's Jordan from Fighting for My Voice. I hope everyone's having a great day. I haven't filmed on YouTube in a while, and I'm really excited to get back to it. And I'm making videos again for Apraxia Awareness Month, May of 2023. And to start off this month, I really wanted to start off by telling my own story of my life growing up with apraxia of speech. I want to share the good, the bad, the ugly, the victories, and more. But before we get into that, be sure that you click that subscribe button and be sure to like this video, and let's get right into it. So to give you an overview of me, so my name is Jordan Christian LeVan. I am 25 years old when I'm filming this video, but I will be 26 on April 28th, and I grew up with apraxia of speech. So when I was a baby, I didn't make many sounds at all. I didn't babble. And my mom saw these signs, but the primary focus when I was growing up was on my health, because I was born 3 months premature with a birth defect called posterior urethral valves. And basically what happened there is that my bladder backed up into my kidneys, making me lose a kidney and a half, and they had to remake my bladder. And as you can imagine, for a mother, the focus is not the speech, even though she suspected something was wrong, but the focus was, we have to keep Jordan alive, because I was in and out of the hospitals growing up. I spent 3 of my first 5 birthdays in the hospital, so that's why I had to be in there so long. And where my name actually comes from, Jordan Christian, is from the River of Jordan in the Bible, because my mom prayed and asked for God to give her a name, and the name Jordan Christian came because that's where the healings took place. So that's some background about me. And, you know, as I was growing up, what the different events transpired that didn't make me have speech services until I was 5. Now, my mom did take me to some speech sessions prior, she has told me, but they couldn't really figure anything out. So when I was 5 years old, that is when I first went to the speech language pathologist I saw in kindergarten. And when I saw my speech language pathologist, honestly, she didn't really keep me in her room. She would leave me outside of her room because, just to be transparent, she didn't know how to treat apraxia. And she knew that I had apraxia and that I have apraxia, but she didn't know how to treat it. So she would leave me outside of her room. And something that you have to remember, during this time, when I was 5 years old, I was non-speaking. I couldn't physically speak. And one day I did get lost. I remember I was trying to go back to my classroom, couldn't remember where my classroom was, and 2 teachers approached me and they had said, "What is your name?" And I couldn't tell them my name. And I remember looking up at them. I remember looking up at them with such fear and so much anxiety, because when you cannot say your own name, you feel powerless. And I was so scared, but my brother actually attended the same school as me. And that's when they found my brother, and he said, "Oh, that's my brother, Jordan." And my siblings were always there for me growing up. They would really, really look after me. My brother was always concerned about me, so concerned if I was going to get lost. So I know him, even at that age, I know that my brother's heart was probably like, "Oh no, I'm scared for my brother." But the year went on, and my mom didn't know that my speech language pathologist was leaving me outside of her room until somebody went to my mom and told her. My mom called for an emergency meeting then, and she was like, "Why is Jordan being left outside of the room? What does Jordan have?" And that's when my SLP during that time said, "He has apraxia." And my mom was like, "Apraxia? What's apraxia?" And this is what every parent gets to when they first hear apraxia, because for many parents, the first time a parent hears the word apraxia, it's when their child is diagnosed. So my mom went online and tried to search everything she could about it, but she couldn't find much. So from there, my kindergarten SLP left in the middle of the night one night and took all of my files because she knew that she was in a lot of trouble, and we never heard from her again. But as the years went on, I attended speech therapy, and my mom had to really advocate to be sure that I got in the correct speech services. And this wasn't something that was done overnight. It's something that took years. I remember in my first grade year, I was just like really in my own world, which is why I named my book series, because I wrote in a book series. It's called Jordan's World, and it's about my life growing up with apraxia of speech in the form of non-fictional children's books. And it talks about these experiences, but I was really in my own world, and I couldn't communicate with the outside world. And when you are unable to communicate with the outside world, there's so many feelings of isolation. And I didn't know anybody else with apraxia. I didn't know why I had apraxia. My mom sat me down when I was 5 and she told me. And to be honest, I just went in front of the TV. I popped a tape in the TV and I drank a cup of coffee because I stole my parents' coffee growing up. But that was because I knew. But even though I knew, I didn't know anybody else with it. So as I was growing up, I grew up just not knowing anybody else. I grew up with a lot of feelings of shame. My mom really advocated for me and advocated for me. And the breaking point was when I was in second grade. And during my second grade year, my teacher didn't understand why I couldn't read or spell yet. And that was due to my apraxia, because people with apraxia can have these difficulties. And he didn't understand why. And he got pretty mad one day and he punched my desk. And I got up and I locked myself in the bathroom. I was having an asthma attack and I was panicked. And that's when he called my mom. My mom went straight down to the school and then got me out of the bathroom. And my mom told me, the teacher then said, I know that you want to take him home, but you shouldn't take him home. And my mom said, it's I know my child best. My child is scared. I'm taking him home. And that teacher got in a lot of trouble. But my mom, that was like the breaking point. And my mom was like, I've had it. And my mom had advocated very heavily for me. My mom's always been a very strong advocate. But something she would keep on saying from this point on is that Jordan's not going to fall between the cracks. So people from the school district came into the office. My mom was on calls. It wasn't IEPs. If they told her it couldn't be done, she said it can be done and it will be done. So in the grand scheme of things, in the end, I got in speech services 5 times a week for 45-minute sessions. And these greatly benefited me using a motor planning approach, because something to know is that phonological approaches and fluency approaches do not work on apraxia. They do not work on apraxia. So a person with apraxia must have a motor planning approach unless one of these is a co-occurring condition. But I went to speech services up until I was in my 6th grade year, and something that wasn't the best happened in my 6th grade year that my SLP allowed within the speech therapy room that honestly really traumatized me, and I didn't tell my mom about this then. So then my mom pulled me out of that school then, and then placed me within a private school where I was able to get more one-on-one help. That greatly benefited me, but I begged my mom, please don't make me go back to speech therapy. And she didn't know the reason why behind it then, but now she definitely understands why. And that's something that I'm saving actually to go into my autobiography I'm writing. I've talked about it in the past, but it's pretty difficult for me to get into detail about, so I'm not going to further get into it on this video. When I was growing up and across my teenage years, I felt a lot of feelings of shame, and I was living in denial of having apraxia, of having a speech disorder. And people say, well, how can you be in denial of having a speech disorder? Well, simply you don't accept it, and you don't want to speak because you don't want to be faced with the reality of what will other people think, what will be their facial expressions, can they understand me, will they react like other people in the past? Because in my past, I mean, I had people leave me outside of rooms. I had my SLP leave me outside of rooms. I had my teacher who punched the decks. I had kids pick on me growing up, and I was really, really bullied because of my speech. I would walk into a classroom and they would say, let's all talk like Jordan, and the whole classroom would mock me. And when you deal with that, you deal with a lot of feelings of shame and a lot of feelings of, why me, and why can't I just blend in? So with my teenage years, I really just tried to blend in as much as possible. I didn't want to be different, and my mom always told me growing up, it's okay to be different. But with all of these experiences, I didn't feel like it was okay to be different. And I just remember throughout my teenage years, if I'm honest, I just remember like trying to get through each day. And I remember laying in my bed depressed most days because I didn't know anybody else with apraxia. And when I got into be a young adult, I was like, I really, really have to accept myself, and I really have to love myself, and I really need help. So I got help. I first started therapy. I went to cognitive behavioral therapy, where I also did acceptance and commitment therapy as well. And from there, my therapist encouraged me to go back to speech therapy. I went back at a center called UNCG, and I got in speech services there when I was 20 through 23, which absolutely has helped my speech so much. Because when I was a teen and when I was a young adult, I talked so quiet to the point of a whisper, because with people's voice volumes with apraxia, they can also be affected as well. So I struggled so much, but once again, I wasn't only struggling with the speech portion, but this whole battle within myself. So it is along my journey of self-love and self-acceptance, something that my therapist really encouraged me to do is that she said, I really want you to own it. I really want you to take the power back. So I went to Facebook groups, and I joined a lot of apraxia support groups. And I found one that was a young adult group. I think it had around like 30 people or so. And I asked basically in this group, I wanted to collect questions about apraxia, and I wanted to answer questions because I was like, well, maybe if I can talk about my experiences and stuff, maybe this will help me own it. And something built up the courage in me to sit down, to film a video, and I watched it back, and I was so self-conscious of my speech. And I went back to the support group and I said, hi guys, I was going to, but I don't really feel like I can because I'm so self-conscious. And there's a person that left a comment, and it was a mom. And I don't know who this mom is still to this day. But this mom commented, oh, well, I really wish you would, because I have a 12-year-old son with apraxia, and he could really use to see somebody like him. And it is the quote, be who you needed when you were younger, popped in my head, and I thought about me when I was 12 years old, not knowing anybody else with apraxia, feeling like the only one. And I mean, my passion just sparked from there, because I was like, other people feel this way. And I posted the video. It got more traction than what I ever thought, because I was only expecting this video, honestly, to get like 10 views or so, and then it ended up in like grand total getting over 10K, and people really encouraged me to like make my Facebook my Facebook page. One of my best friends, Laura Pascal Smith, reached out to me, and she really encouraged me, and she took and she allowed me, she allowed to take me under her wing, and for her to be my mentor. And I started speaking out about my life experiences and such. And throughout this journey of self-love and self-acceptance, I found my passion of, not only do I want to accept and love myself, but I want others with apraxia to be able to accept and love themselves for who they are, no matter how they speak, no matter how difficult it might be, no matter how people's reactions might be, no matter if other people may not accept you, because the most important thing at the end of the day is that you self-accept and you self-love yourself for exactly the person that you are. And I believe I could sit here and I could name every reason why other people convince me that I shouldn't accept myself, that something was wrong with me. And as we say in the disability community, people with disabilities feel like they should hide in the shadows. And I could say, you know, I'm going to hide in the shadows, but I don't want to hide in the shadows. It never served me good, and it won't serve me good now. And I found joy going out into the daylight and being proud of who I am, and saying that there's nothing wrong with having a speech disorder. There's nothing wrong with having a disability. There's nothing wrong with being different. It's not just okay to be different. It's not just okay to be different. You're allowed to be different. You're allowed to be yourself. You don't have to morph in. You can just be the person that you were created to be. And if it means anything to anybody watching this video, I want you to know that I am so proud of you for making it this far, because I know what it's like to struggle. But every day is a new day. And I hope that if you take anything out of this video, if you take one, I really want you to know that you're not alone, and that you have a family and you have a tribe behind you. And if you're like me, and if you were growing up, if certain members of your family did not accept you due to whatever reason, if it was your apraxia or something else, you're now part of my family, and I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching this video for me, and for allowing me to share my journey with you. And if you liked this video, once again, give it a thumbs up. I'm going to leave my social media links below, with my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, and more. And I have merch, so if you guys would like to check that, you can click the links down below. And I love you guys so much, and if you guys need anything, please reach out to me. I'm here for every single one of you. You can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or email, or I also have a P.O. box. Send me a letter. And as always, I hope this helps.